Some of those new knights look pretty tall. I'll fight one just for you.
And off he goes.
A few moments later.
They're all so strong I couldn't land a single blow.
So it's as I said then, isn't it? The tallest fighter has the advantage. And my father could beat yours in a fight.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our character discussion series. If this is your first time here, be sure to check out my Black Eagles playlist, where you can view our previous videos. In this video, we'll be continuing with the Black Eagles, covering both Linhardt and Caspar. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. Now, without further ado, let's dive right in. So now we have Linhardt.
Oh yeah, like Linhardt, I don't know nearly much about him compared to other characters, I feel. I just like him overall. I don't think, at least for me personally, there's nothing like remarkable about him in terms of why I like him. I think he's just cool overall, where it's like he just takes life very easy. He's very easygoing. And to that extent, I think because of that, he doesn't really care who he's interacting with, which I think is really nice as well. Because,
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, like, I feel like if you're stressed out with social interactions, just going up to him and Linhardt, and he doesn't care who you are, is like, is this gonna be long? Because I want to go take a nap.
Yeah.
It's like, you feel like you don't have to put on airs around him.
Yeah, because, like, he doesn't care about anything other than studying the things that he likes, which is crests and sleeping, right? So it's like, he doesn't care about your position or your role in society. It's like, he just doesn't want his time wasted because he'd rather sleep or go research crests. Yeah, like you said, he doesn't really care who you are. He'll just, if you need to talk to him, he'll answer, and he'll try to make it very brief, right? Like, because he has things to do.
Yeah, like, he doesn't, I'm sure he doesn't mean to come off as rude.
Yeah.
It's just that, I'm sure for a lot of people, because they're so used to putting on airs to some extent, just having someone be so clear-cut where it's like, no, I'm gonna do something else. Like, can we not talk about things unrelated? Like, if we're gonna talk about crests, I'm all for it, but, you know, otherwise
I gotta catch some Z's.
Yeah. And, like, he'll fall asleep right in front of you. It's like, dude, we were talking.
I consider it my mission to serve as a guide and a model for other members of the nobility.
As capable as you are striking. Next to you, I am a mere infant.
Oh, you are far too kind. Although I do work hard each day to achieve all of which you speak.
You've mastered all the important noble skills. You drink tea, talk about how great you are, ride horses.
Indeed. I went for a ride earlier today.
Is that so? You'll have to tell me about it sometime when I'm not walking away.
Where are you going?
And then something I did really always enjoy from him is his friendship with Caspar.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting, because Caspar's always getting into a mess.
Yeah, like, they're such opposites, right? Like, Linhardt is so chill, and he's, like, very, you know, a lot of time he's very sleepy. Yeah. But Caspar,
like, what's that?
He's so high-strung, high energy, right?
Super hyper.
So, like, they're polar opposites, but I think their friendship works out really well.
You're looking pretty tired, Linhardt. I think you could use a little more of the fighting spirit.
I believe you have enough fighting spirit for the both of us.
Enough? There's no such thing. You need as much as you can get if you're gonna train.
I'd rather pace myself. You're becoming too much like your father. I still recall with startling clarity the time he forced me to do some training.
I remember your father wasn't too happy about that. Our fathers actually got into a fight over it.
They hate one another so much. I simply cannot fathom what's wrong with the two of them.
I wish they'd just have it out already. One big fight to settle things. My father would win, obviously, but it would still be fun to watch.
And I forget whose support it is, but it's actually stated that they've been friends since they were 6 years old. So they're actually pretty much lifelong friends.
Childhood friends, yeah.
Yeah, and in the way they interact, you can kind of see that, right? Where it's like their friendship is just so natural, even though, like, their personalities are so, like,
polar
mismatched,
opposites,
right?
Yeah. Because I think they're a little bit more considerate of each other in that regard.
Yeah.
But even then, like, Caspar still tries, right? Like, he'll try occasionally, like, come on, Linhardt, let's do this. And Linhardt might humor him, but for the most part, he's like, nah.
Yeah.
No thanks. Like, if I had to compare where it's like, Linhardt is a senior, some kind of, like, lapdog breed, or just a breed of dog that just wants to chill out. Whereas, like, Caspar is like a Jack Russell Terrier, and he just wants to run, do everything. Like he's pretty much going where it's like, you know, gotta do all these things while you're still young, you know. Or
Like,
I guess Guy Sensei, youth.
Onward with the power of youth!
Yeah, honestly, like Caspar is a lot like Guy Sensei in that regard.
I guess Linhardt could be considered, you know, Kakashi.
Yeah,
in
honestly,
this
it's the
regard.
same dynamic, right? Where one is very calm and very chill, would rather just laze about, whereas one is so high energy, like arguably way too high energy, where it's like you gotta calm down sometimes, man.
Chill.
Yeah. Another thing I really do like about Linhardt is that he's very realistic. So there's a line in particular that I really like where I believe it's in part 2. And you only get this line in Black Eagles, where he mentions that the reason that he sided with Edelgard is because he thinks it's pointless to oppose her because she's gonna win. So it's just easier to just side with her.
Yeah, so in that regard, right, if you were to take that out of context, it kind of sounds like he doesn't care whether or not, well, maybe not care, more so than, even if he personally is against what her ultimate goal is, at the end of the day, he still values his life, where it's like...
He values his life
gotta...
and whatever takes less effort, right? Where it's like, it's easier to just support her, so I'm just gonna support her, right? She's probably gonna win.
Yeah,
so.
and I think for Edelgard, right, it's not that she sees him as a threat, but it's like, even if he's supporting her, right, quote unquote, I think she kind of just takes it with a grain of salt, like, okay, you can just go sleep over there in that corner.
Yeah,
like,
you can
I
do
know
your,
you're not gonna,
yeah,
like,
you can do your research and sleep.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever truly applied yourself, you could become a distinguished scholar. You could use your crest knowledge to benefit the world, or uncover new discoveries in magic theory.
Why would I busy myself with such tedious work? I perform this research for my own knowledge. I'm not interested in the world at large.
There's nothing wrong with a selfish drive for knowledge, but only if you put it to good use.
Several months later.
You've said before that you don't care about the usefulness of your research. After giving it some thought, I decided that I'd like to create an institution for crest and relic research, and I'd like for you to lead it. All you would need to do is carry out whatever research you like. Somebody else will decide how to make use of your findings. What do you think? I imagine such an environment would suit you quite well.
Let's be clear that I have my reservations, but I suppose I'll take you up on your offer, if you insist. Although I'm unsure if it's a good idea. If my research dries up, you'll be stuck with a worthless institute. I do hope you understand that, Your Majesty.
Why are you skeptical about my proposal?
It's because all I've ever cared about is following my own curiosity, wherever it takes me. Being head of some institution and researching as part of an organized team sounds like no fun at all. At that point, it's not research, it's just a job. And one I've been practically forced into at that.
We talk about research a lot with him. Like, he's incredibly smart.
Oh yeah, he's incredibly smart.
He's one of the smartest people at the academy. And one thing that really stands out, right, is that he is one of the only people, if not the only person, that is able to figure out Flane's true identity.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like he's able to piece things together based on her crest and on history, and
because he was studying about the gods too, because they're related to the crest.
yeah, and he's able to piece together her true identity, which, you know, we'll go over Flane's stuff in her section, but no, it just kind of puts into perspective just how, you know, observant Linhardt is, where it's like he will pick up on things other people won't, and he'll piece things together, at least when he's interested, right? Because he's so interested in crest, and that's the only reason he even found out about this, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it had nothing to do with crest, he would never have touched the subject.
Yeah, and even if he knows things that other people may not want him to know, it's not like he's the type to blackmail them.
No.
Maybe he'll do it a little
Maybe.
bit if it's to the benefit of learning more about crest. Like,
Yeah.
I won't share this if you tell me more about crest.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think he had any intention of
No.
sharing anyways. It's just, I don't know. I think he's just overall a nice character to hang out with.
Yeah. Like, he's very chill, he has no worries, right? He likes to just have freedom to do whatever he wants, usually just sleep and study. Like, he's a very simple character.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, like he's a very simple character, but like he has his life figured out, right? He knows what he wants to do. He doesn't really have any personal strife. He's very, I guess, very predictable.
Yeah, unpredictable is the word I would say, but it's not to say it's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think it's nice for a change of pace where it's like, there are many other characters that are high-strung and, you know, like Caspar, right?
Yeah.
But you also have Edelgard and Hubert where a lot of chaos is happening with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you just want a little bit of like, can I have some calmness
Yeah.
for just like a few seconds?
Yeah.
You know, and I think Linhardt does represent that, where it's like, you know, let's just chill.
Yeah, he like presents like a little bit of calmness in like a sea of chaos, right?
Yeah, because even he himself, like, he's wrapped up in this chaos, but he's able to find some realm of calmness in that.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you do this, Linhardt?
Mm-hmm. Like he's a lot like a younger, lazier Hanneman.
Yeah, and I think there are interactions with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are. And I do enjoy their interactions just because like you learn a lot about Crest from them talking. Cause
Oh yeah, because they're both super into Crest.
they're both big nerds about Crest. So it's like you just get a lot of info from them, which I like info. So.
Yeah, and I think the game does encourage you to do that, where it's like you're gonna find more about the lore and just overall world settings by talking with other people.
Yeah.
And maybe reading some of the books in the library. I could never do that because I was like, I ain't got time for this.
I read through them. It kind of just covers the fake history that the church has put forth, which does pretty much more or less get explained as you play through the game. But you could just read the books in the library to just get like the condensed version of it.
Yeah, nah.
No? Okay. One thing, I also really like, I don't know if you remember, in the very first chapter after you get your students, after you become the teacher of a house, you have like a battle in like a canyon, right? And where you fight the bandit guy for the second time, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
The one
I
where he
think
just
I think
jumps back
it's literally chapter 2.
Uh-huh.
Every single character has a quote, I believe, for the first time they fight, or for the
I think
first
I
time
know
they
what
beat
you're
an enemy, right?
Yeah.
And Linhardt, he's kind of like freaking out about the blood because he's actually hemophobic. And I always thought that was very fitting, where it's like he's not suited for battle.
Like, how can you be suited for battle if you're scared of blood? It's like... I mean, but then again, I've always had him as my healer.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well he does learn warp.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, he's
It's
one
fitting.
of the, I think only him and Lysithea learn it, I believe. It's
And not including the DLC characters.
yeah, and warp is super good, so So now we arrive at Caspar.
Again, I just picture a blue Jack Russell Terrier.
They're just very high energy,
Yeah, it's like,
very loud.
if I look away for a few seconds, I feel like he would have disappeared and ended up like head first into a lake. I don't know.
Yeah, or you don't know what he's gonna do if you keep your eyes on him for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like Caspar.
me too.
We talked about he's like a very high energy, high strung, like he always wants to be doing something, usually fighting or training or screaming, right?
Screaming.
Yeah, he loves to yell.
That's true.
Yeah,
But you make it sound like he just randomly screams.
like I forget who he supports with. I'll put it up when I'm editing. But there's a poor conversation where it's like, I think it's with Hubert actually, where Hubert's telling him like, when you fight, you scream way too much. You need to keep it down. And because he's
oh, that's right. He was
yeah.
complaining, I think, because he was in the training grounds,
Yeah.
and Hubert just came up like, "Hey, shut up."
Yeah.
Suppose you were to shout on the battlefield as you did in your training today. It is very likely the enemy could anticipate your next move based on your insipid blather. And what if your allies are startled by your outburst and fumble with their weapons as a result? This is not to mention the obvious fact that you would utterly botch any covert operation.
You really think I'm that stupid? I only shout when it's completely necessary. I don't do it all the time.
Whatever habits you develop in training, you will reproduce on the battlefield. Combat is tense and frantic. You will default to your training whether you mean to or not.
Hey, why don't you just shut up about it? I can control myself.
So
Yeah.
then, like in the B support, he like stops yelling, and then Hubert thinks he's being too quiet, And so he tells him, like, you're being too
Too
quiet.
quiet.
Like, the troops are worried, morale is low.
Casper's like, what do you want from
And then,
me?
like, when you yell, it actually raises their morale. So then he goes back to being super loud, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
You were rather quiet in the last battle, Caspar. Not a single war cry to be heard. It was almost as if you weren't even there.
I did it just for you, Hubert. Isn't that what you wanted? Weren't you the one who said my shouting would cause problems?
Yes, I was. And at the time, you seemed intent on ignoring my advice.
Well, that was then. Recently, my behavior caused trouble, just like you said it would. I was shouting the other day and some enemies heard. I pretty much gave our position away and left us open to attack. I mean, it turned out fine in the end, but someone could have died if things had played out differently. Anyway, I did some self-reflecting and realized that I probably shouldn't shout so much. A decision that I'm proud to say I came to all on my own.
All on your own, huh? It was a bad decision. Being too quiet on the battlefield is extremely dangerous.
I'm sorry, what? That's the exact opposite of what you said before.
Having seen you fight in silence, I have no choice but to accept the truth that your shouting is vital.
What in the world are you talking about?
We've all grown used to the way you fight. Your battle cries help morale, and your instructions rise above the din of battle. I would go so far as to say that the soldiers under your command would be lost without the guidance of your booming voice.
I really don't get you, Hubert.
You inspire people. The benefits of your shouting outweigh the risks. Something wrong?
Yeah! I'm back! If you want me to shout, then I'm gonna shout! I'm not even gonna think about it! I knew you'd come around!
Don't get too excited. You'll be ambushed again.
Then I guess I'm gonna have to fight some guys while shouting!
That might have been the wrong approach. Ah, well. No cure for stupidity. I suppose I'll just have to rein him in myself.
And I really do think he has an interesting backstory, and because he's another character where
He's from nobility.
He's from nobility, and it affects him in an interesting way because of that, where he's the second son of his house, right?
Yeah, so he talks about his brother and father a lot.
Yeah, so he has no rights to his house in terms of, like, he will not be the heir. Like, unless his brother dies, he gets nothing from his nobility, and realistically, right? Aside from just certain connections that his family can get him.
Yeah, and certain privileges that comes with being a noble.
Yeah, but it's like, because he's not going to succeed his father as the head of his house, he needs to find some way to really kind of make a name for himself.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to earn his place in society, right?
He needs his own merits, yeah.
He needs to earn his own merit. And so, for him, he wants to earn his own merit on the battlefield, right? He wants to be a great warrior, potentially a general, right? And so that's why he's so obsessed with training and fighting, and, he's very much a fighter because, he wants to, be renowned as, like, a great warrior, right? And we mentioned his father. He's terribly afraid of his father.
Yeah,
he mentions him constantly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, if you're against the Empire and any of the other 3 routes that isn't Black Eagles, and you have Caspar, he mentions that he
doesn't want to face his father.
He's deathly afraid of facing his father on the battlefield, right? I did catch wind that his father actually does show up in 3 Hopes. So that's going to be fun to see when we get to that.
I don't know if it'd be fun for Caspar.
Maybe not, but it'll be fun for us, right? Because we've heard so much about his father. I just want to see, like, what he looks like and what he's actually like.
Is there any mention of his older brother?
I don't think he mentions his brother too much.
Yeah, because it's not like... because I'm sure there's some nobles where in their family they try to kill the siblings.
Oh,
so
that
they...
for sure. There's some, and there's a couple that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I think in the next video.
But this definitely didn't happen with him. Where
No.
He was just more... He just immediately accepted it. It seems, where it's like, he didn't even try to fight. He's like, okay. Anyways.
Okay, I'm gonna go fight. Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, he's very unrestrained. He's very... in a lot of ways, he's very simple, very straightforward, very honest as well.
Sometimes brutally honest.
So, yeah, and I don't think, and it comes from a place of like obliviousness, right? Where it's like,
I think in a lot of his support with Bernie, for example, like Bernadetta.
Yeah.
Because she's so quiet and again reclusive, but then he's just coming out.
Yeah, because in his support, he actually like kidnaps her and takes her to like a place that he thinks she'll have fun at.
Yeah.
But she's freaking out, like, what are you doing? I thought I was gonna die. He's like, well, I just wanted to show you this place.
You should try stepping outside and socializing. I'm sure you'd make friends in no time if you didn't waste it all in here.
Outside? In no time? Oh, sure, yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Or maybe it's just not as easy for me as it is for you. Did that ever cross your mind?
Why wouldn't it be? Making friends is easy. This one time, I even made friends with someone I'd just been in a fight with. I think it was the gorgeous view that did it. We really shared a moment. Come on, let's go check it out.
Hold on! What are you doing? Please don't touch me! Ah! Put me down! Put me down!
Calm down. I'm just gonna carry you out of here. Easy does it. And here we are. See? That wasn't so bad, now was it? And what about this view? Gorgeous, right?
So this is what death is like. Didn't expect it to be so sudden.
He's just completely oblivious to the fact that like
he's a good-natured kid, but like he, in terms of his awareness, at least as an academy student, right? Like he gets a little bit more mature after a time skip, right? Because at that point he's been in battles.
Yeah.
But he's still very much the same.
Yeah, and then there's also the point where in the time skip, during his ace supports with different characters, especially the female cast, like when they flirt with him, he's oblivious.
Yeah, he has no idea.
He has no idea, right? Which is pretty hilarious. It's like he's very much a shonen anime character.
Yeah, like I can't remember if Dorothea ever said it, but if she like pointed out like, are you just not even aware that you're being flirted with or something?
I think she pointed it out in some way.
Yeah.
I don't think she straight up said it, but she did point out that he's so oblivious, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
What do you mean I'm oblivious?
Yeah.
I'm good on the battlefield.
Yeah. And then another thing that I really do like about him, that you would have to have seen his support to Shamir and Petra to see this, is that he actually does feel guilt over things his father does. Because his father, right, he's a very, very well-known legendary general for the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, he's super well-known, right? He, I believe, led the war between the Empire and Dagda/Brigid.
Yeah.
Where I believe the way it went down is that the country of Dagda, which is like an island, tried to invade the Empire, and Brigid, which is the land that Petra's from. Sided with Dagda, right?
Yeah.
So Dagda and Brigid tried to invade the Empire. They got their asses kicked. The Empire's army was led by Caspar's dad.
He was just like, no.
Yeah, and so Caspar's dad actually ended up killing a lot of Shamir's friends and family, specifically her lover.
Yeah.
And Caspar's father also killed Petra's father. And
that's
so,
why she talks more about her grandfather.
Yeah, because Caspar's father got rid of him.
Okay, yeah.
And like it's actually stated that like a lot of people in Dagda were killed. Like
it was almost not genocide per se.
Not a genocide, but Dagda was completely devastated.
Yeah.
And that's actually why Shamir left and ended up at the monastery.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, right, as a general, it's like you kind of want to just maybe not want to, but it makes logical sense that you want to just stamp out like any forces that could just rise up again, right?
Oh yeah, like you're trying to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah. So
it's like you can't blame that. That is his job, right? He is the general. He's supposed to win, right?
Yeah.
But he feels bad over the things his father has done, especially when it relates to people that he has connections with, right? So he actually feels really bad, and he feels guilt whenever he's talking to Petra and to Shamir.
I'm pretty sure they're both like, dude, it wasn't you. Like,
yeah.
You weren't the one on the battlefield.
Yeah, you're not the one that did it, right?
Yeah.
But he feels guilt, and like, especially I believe in their C support, he mentions that like he doesn't understand why they don't hate him, right? Because he thinks they should, like he wouldn't blame them.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you just mentioned, right? They're both like, dude, it wasn't you. Like I have no reason to hate you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just think it's very interesting to see that side of him, where it's like, you know, because he comes off as so hot-headed and ready to run into the battle and scream. He is compassionate. Like he.
I mean, kind of like we said before, it shouldn't be too surprising because he's just a good-natured kid. Like it's not that
he's very good-natured.
It's not that deep down either. Like it's very apparent. Like he more or less wears his heart on his sleeve.
He definitely does. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting to see that side of him because that's generally not how he is. You generally don't see this kind of reflective, kind of more somber side of him. And so it was very interesting for me to see that side.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it's like, usually you're just so, again, what you're saying, hot-headed and you just run screaming, ah!
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, you're very compassionate towards others and, because again, right, like, people were telling him they made this distinction. It was like, it wasn't you on the battlefield that day that led to, like, you know, like Petra's father, Shamir's lover. It wasn't you. And it doesn't make sense why we would hate you for that, especially when you're obviously more torn up about it than we are in terms, like, in the way of, like, how we're connected.
Yeah.
Like we're not gonna hold any hostility towards you. Like, he held more kind of hostility towards himself, where it's like, and it wasn't that he was trying to say he was ashamed of his father either. Like, I think because of the fact that, like, he respects his father, right? Because he's such a well-known
he has a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, obviously he's still terrified of him.
Yeah.
But it's like, he doesn't hate him.
No.
And I think he probably also feels guilt for that, where it's like, you know, my father did technically very terrible things to your families, to different ways, right? But it was still terrible. It was a devastation for you guys, I'm sure. And because of that, right, you see it's like, wow, Caspar, like, that's really, you know, like, kind of heartbreaking. It's like, you you think you should be hated, like, no one should be thinking like that.
Yeah.
So it was very hard to see him be like that, and it was just nice to know that Shamir and Petra were so kind to him in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Caspar is definitely a really nice character.
He is. I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
And then I also really like his paralogue with Mercedes, where they go up against the Death Knight.
Oh yeah, so because of that, at that point, I hadn't leveled him.
Yeah.
And you're actually forced to fight with him. Like, he's
you
in
are.
a certain section
Yeah,
where it's
so,
like,
yeah, so
I can't reach him with
and
my
Mercedes
other party.
are at the very top of the map next to the Death Knight.
Because I'm like, no!
Yeah.
Because he was like 10 levels below everyone else.
Yeah.
I was like, Caspar, I haven't gotten to you yet. I didn't know you were going to be involved. Like, I didn't know you were going to be separated this far either. Like, I was like, oh, I have to, like, stall for time. Like, I had to restart so many times just because of that. I'm like, no. Because I had him as, it's not Brawler, is it? It's a
Grappler.
Grappler, yeah. So, and everyone else was
Grappler
mages.
And then War Master, I believe is how
I
it
had
goes.
him as a Grappler at that point. But I was like, Caspar, no!
Like, that support's funny because it makes sense why Mercedes wants to meet with the Death Knight, right?
But why Caspar?
But so Caspar, it's just a matter of he wants to fight the Death Knight, right?
Yeah.
He wants to beat his ass for hurting Flame, and
I think the biggest thing was that Mercedes was sneaking out at night, and he happened to catch her, and I think that's why he ultimately went with her as well. At least I think that's how it went.
I think so. If it's not, I'll put it in the edit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and something that I did really like about the paralogue, that some people may have known you can do this, is that if you beat the Death Knight with Caspar, the Death Knight actually gives Caspar his scythe as like a show of respect, where it's like he respects his strength.
I don't think I got that.
So he gives him his scythe, which is super strong.
But also, can he even use it?
Yeah. Like, if he goes into a class that can use lances, he can use it. And then it actually carries over to the next time you see the Death Knight, where he actually doesn't have his lance anymore. He doesn't have his scythe anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I believe at that point he just has like a steel lance or something.
It's the training lance.
That'd be hilarious.
It's like, I was broke. I thought I had more money, but
Yeah.
I'm broke, so I got a training lance instead. but it's like, it's okay. That's 45
Yeah,
like, durability.
I can keep using it.
I think it was like 35 or 45.
I think it's 45 uses.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like. Your support means so much, and it motivates me to keep making these. Stay tuned for our next video where we'll discuss Bernadetta. Once again, thank you everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time.